Good afternoon. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, perfect. Speak up. Okay. Can you guys hear me now? Yes? Okay, good. Okay, great. So glad to have you all here today. I was hoping to spend a little bit of time talking a little bit about how to nourish a strong relationship with our children. I need you to bear with me, be patient with me. It's a very, very simple concept, but it has very, very lasting impact on children, okay? And so bear with me and hang in there with me. It might feel like, okay, this is so simple, but it does have a very meaningful impact on our kids, okay? And so I titled this, How to Fill a Bucket, and I'll explain a little bit why. Okay, but before we do that, if we can do just a short prayer. Okay, in the name of the Father, and Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God, amen. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for helping us to gather in your name today. Please, Lord, help us to put our hearts together and our minds together to figure out the best way to support these beautiful children that you have given us. Please bless every step that we take as parents, as aunts and uncles, and as carers for all these little ones in our lives. And through your name we pray, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. Through Christ Jesus our Lord, for thy is the kingdom, power, and the glory forever. Amen. Okay. Just a little bit of context. I work with kids, little kids, so 10 and under is kind of what I love to do. And so I will be relating to a lot of children's books and things like that, because it's just a really beautiful way to illustrate a difficult concept. So, but before we start, I'd love to hear from everyone in the room about like a happy memory you've shared with your child, or a very fond vacation, or an outing that really stands out to you with your little ones. Anything small? Yes. Fishing trips, beautiful. Okay, what stood out to you? Excellent. The connection, right? Sure, you're out there, the wind is in your hair and all that beautiful stuff, and you're catching fish and the sun's shining in your face, but it's the connection that really stands out. Very nice. Anyone else? Yes. So using kind of the everyday moments, like part of the routine, and just kind of embracing that and delving into that a little bit more and finding that connection. I love it. Very, very nice. Okay, so I want you to hold on to these memories, these fond experiences, these vacations and all of that good stuff, because I think that's going to be carried throughout, okay? So, really quickly, so I mentioned, because I work with kids, I love to use children's books, okay? And through this book, it's a very endearing book that's called How Have You Filled a Bucket Today? And it's a really simple concept that I share with kids and families about how to nourish that relationship with your child, to fill kind of their love bucket, if you will. Okay, so bear with me. It is a children's book. It is a read aloud, but we'll talk about why this is important.
Hi friends, welcome to Storytime with Andrea. Today I'm going to read to you, Have You Filled a Bucket Today? All day long, everyone in the whole wide world walks around carrying an invisible bucket. You can't see it, but it's there. You have a bucket. Each member of your family has a bucket. Your grandparents, friends, and neighbors all have a bucket. Everyone carries an invisible bucket. Your bucket has one purpose only. Its purpose is to hold your good thoughts and good feelings about yourself. You feel very happy and good when your bucket is full, and you feel very sad and lonely when your bucket is empty. Other people feel the same way too. They're happy when their buckets are full, and they're sad when their buckets are empty. It's great to have a full bucket, and this is how it works. You need other people to fill your bucket, and other people need you to fill theirs. You can fill your own bucket too. So how do you fill a bucket? You fill a bucket when you show love to someone, when you say or do something kind, or even when you give someone a smile. That's being a bucket filler. A bucket filler is a loving, caring person who says or does nice things that makes others feel special. When you make someone feel special, you are filling a bucket.
Okay. So, as this very, very simple children's story illustrates, all of us have this reservoir or this bucket, invisible bucket in our heart that is constantly needing to be filled. And the way we're able to do that is connection with those we love and positive interaction. So words of kindness, a kind gesture, quality time, all of these wonderful things go a long way to make us feel connected and loved, okay? So bear with me as we kind of explore a little bit more why this is even relevant. Okay, so as you could imagine, we're talking a lot today about connection and the value of connection, okay? And there's this very simple concept that I hope we all walk away with, which is we always need to have connection with our children before we're able to move into correction, okay? And here's why. If I don't feel connected to my child, any effort that I make to discipline, set limits, or do anything to correct their path will not be effective, okay? So correction will not work without that connection, okay? And then you'll also find yourself without that connection, you're having to set a lot more limits. There's a lot more discipline. There's so much that you're investing in correction, and it feels frustrating both for the child and for the parent. So first things first, that connection is so, so, so critical. And I want to highlight that over and over and over again like a broken record, because it is so critical for anything else we do in life. And so in my line of work, I often have families who come and say, you know, I have an issue with this, or how do I get my child to do this? My child is anxious. My child can't sit still in class. They're really struggling with their friendships. Their mood is down. My child is stealing, whatever it may be, right? There are so many things that come up in these little ones, right? But I often, over the years, I've often found myself coming first and foremost to that connection. And the reason behind that is it is the foundation for any skill building that we kind of introduce to our children down the road. Okay, and a lot of the times with that strong connection, we can help our children's correct course. We can help our children navigate the waters differently and figure out those challenges differently. And I'll get into the why and the how in a little bit. But and oftentimes, I don't know about you, I'm a parent myself, but I don't know about you, there are many, many situations where I feel stumped. I have no clue what I'm doing, and I do this for a living, but there are many situations where I have no clue what to do. And I often fall back on, have I spent enough time with my kiddo? Have I connected? Have we shared an experience that made both of us smile and laugh? And only then is that mountain or that insurmountable problem that we were facing feels that much easier, because now you've found a partner to achieve it with or to conquer it with. So it's a really, really huge concept that I come back to. And just a little bit of a side note, this isn't at all undermining the importance and the significance of other kind of big mental health pieces that are going on, right? Severe depression, my child's on the autism spectrum, whatever it may be, it doesn't negate that. I'm just saying that the relationship is so core and foundational to anything else that we want to do and support our children with. So coming back to that. Okay, so what we're going to be talking a lot about today is the concept, a very, very simple concept, play, and that parent-child quality time. And that's why I was really pulling for those positive experiences and memories you've all shared with your little ones, right? And it's not just this kind of very idealistic and aspirational goal. There's actually in the literature so much research and information to support that play, and that quality time really does support growth in our children. Things like cognitive development, social development, emotional development, and physical growth. Believe it or not, you sitting down and playing with your children has a significant and lasting impact on all these areas of development. Okay, and so I'm hoping by the end of this, our goal, kind of what we prioritize as parents, right? I don't, of course, we can get into skill sets and tools kind of in your toolkit, but one takeaway is that quality time, prioritizing that quality time, dedicating that one-on-one time, and then balancing that with all the other, extracurricular and life challenges that are coming our way. And then being also mindful of when that imbalance is happening. There's so much else going on that it leaves very little time for my child and I. Okay? I love this quote, but if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. When you devote this time, you are supporting the development of a wonderful human being, and that is how you change the world, one child at a time, one interaction at a time. So again, it sounds idealistic, but bear with me, okay? All right, so value of quality time, the why behind it all. Why is this important? You've heard me kind of rant about, it's so great, you should play with your kids, it's so lovely, but there's the research, okay? For those who are really interested in the why behind it all, there's some information out there, okay? I like to do a little bit of icebreakers because I feel like a lot of our memory is really tied to our emotions, so I'm gonna take you back in time a little bit, but think back to when you were courting your spouse or when you've made a new friend. Think about that really excited, bubbly feeling in your gut. Right? What was it like when you couldn't spend time with them? What was it like when you guys were fighting or arguing? What was it like when you were able to share a fun experience together, right? We are social beings. Christ and the good Lord has created us to be connected to one another and want to be with one another. And so those connections are so, so meaningful. And it goes beyond just our relationship with our own children, but with our spouse and our friends and our community and our sisters and brothers, okay? Okay, so benefits of play. All right, so play, right, very, very simple concept, but it's basically a voluntary, enjoyable activity where the child, and here's the key, where your child is the one exploring and imagining and interacting and leading the play. Very, very, very few instances where our children are the ones in control of their lives, right? Teachers set the rules in the classroom, at home, our parents set the rules, right? In the world, there are community helpers, as we call them, who set rules and guidelines. It's very, very, very rare that our children get to control or dictate what they do. And in the realm of play, this is where they take ownership and really test out and play what the world is going to be like for them. Okay, so cognitive benefits, and it dates way, way, way back, right? We've seen some cognitive benefits. It supports problem solving and reasoning skills as they're stacking those magnets, as they're stacking those blocks, right? They are learning how to reason and problem solve and learn how to work through frustration, right? They're also improving their executive functioning, the ability to hold multiple ideas in mind and manipulate them in mind, right? That's a great skill when you come into school, math, for example, right? So cognitively, we have research and really great research that shows when you spend that time playing, you are supporting their brain growth, okay? Also, social and emotional benefits. Anytime you rough and tumble with your kiddo, you're teaching them social competence. What's too much pressure and what's not enough pressure, right? Emotional awareness. Oops, I just bumped my friend. How do I re-engage with them and apologize and move forward, right? Improves peer interactions. Pretend play, as silly and kind of simple as it is, promotes empathy, self-control, emotional regulation. You are learning so much in those few instances where you allow a child to play, but also lead the play with you, okay? Very big one, because I know a lot of parents come to me and says, my kid's anxious, like, why are you telling me to go play with them, right? That's a skill set that you're gonna build later, but you start with that relationship, because that's the only thing that will support you in the next phase of life, when they're teens, when they're young adults, when they have a family of their own. That relationship is so monumental. But it helps reduce things like anxiety, it helps with relationship growth, it promotes reduction in like depression sometimes, right? Even physical and motor benefits, right? That muscle strength, coordination, better sleep, The harder they play, the better that they sleep, and the more that their brain is able to encode everything that they did and learn throughout the day. Like I said, lowers depression and anxiety. There's so many benefits to letting kids just play and joining them in their play. Just as like this really sweet image shows, right? Little guy is just stacking rocks, but there's so many benefits that he's learning from being able to do that. Okay, so far so good? Did I lose anyone? No, okay. All right. Okay, so more on play and how that supports secure attachment. Lots of literature has shown that mothers and fathers' supportiveness of their children helps predict working models of close relationships. So your relationship with your child is a model for the relationship they're going to have with their peer, with their own spouse, with their teacher, with people in the community. So that relationship is so pivotal, right? And I don't say this to cause alarm or cause anxiety, but more of to be able to stand back and appreciate kind of the role that God has given you in your children's lives, and to be humbled by the fact that this little person really, really is entrusted to you. And there's so much grace and love that comes with that, but I understand kind of the worry piece. So we'll get into the how later, okay? Parent-child interactions, again, it creates a social capital, like I was saying, that's transmitted from generation to generation. All of that knowledge in that one-on-one time with mommy right before breakfast is so meaningful for how I interact with my friend at school that day. Okay? Again, it promotes a secure attachment, reduces behavioral problems, right? And supports emotional regulation. Because when mommy or daddy or grandma or whoever is in my life is able to sit with me and play with me, I matter to someone who I think the world of. And therefore, if they're able to attend to me that way, I can take that into that next relationship. Okay? Father's role versus mother's role. There's no such thing as bad play. Rough and tumble play is just as beautiful as mother's kind of emotional focus and that tender and gentle interaction. They're both super important for social development. Okay, so far, are we kind of following in terms of benefits of play and why it would be helpful in our children's lives? All right, cool. You don't have to answer, it's okay. All right, also, again, like I was saying, play affords children the opportunity to learn to play in groups, to share, to negotiate. Part of the many reason why we put all our kids in preschool early on, right? Sometimes, right? Or seek out those play dates because we just know they thrive when they have those interactions. Believe it or not, it helps with learning readiness, right? Problem solving, like I mentioned before. And sometimes, and I'm guilty of this, but sometimes that quality time for my children at least is so much more meaningful than the other extracurricular activities I try to shove into our day, right? So sometimes just taking that time, even with my oldest, to be able to stop and just play with Magna-Tiles is so much more meaningful than anything else that I try to squeeze in. So the power of play. All right, I talk a lot. Okay, I have a really funny, but not funny, but a cute little video. I love videos. This is an oldie but a goodie by this researcher who studied attachment way back when before we had regulations on how to do research. But we call these the Harlow monkeys. Okay, so I want you to pay attention to something as you watch this old school video. I want you to kind of, within your own thoughts, answer the question of what is more valuable to my child? God bless you. What is more valuable to my child? The time I spend with them, or kind of the treats and the goodies that I purchase, or the extracurriculars, or all of these things. And not making a case for one or the other, but I think it's that balance. Pay attention to that and see what comes up for you.
Let me show you a monkey raised on a nursing wire mother. Now here are 106's two mothers. As you can see, it was weaned on a wire mother. Here's baby 106. Watch. He's going to the wire mother. He's got to eat to live. Oh, he's going back. He's back on the cloth mother, and he'll stay on the cloth mother. Actually, this baby spends from 17 to 18 hours a day on the cloth mother and less than 1 hour a day on the wire mother. We had predicted that the variable of contact comfort would be a variable of measurable importance, but we were unprepared to find that it completely overwhelmed and overshadowed all other variables, including those of nursing.
Frankly, Doctor, if it comes to a choice between wire and cloth, it's reasonable to expect that any child will go to the cloth. It's a matter of creature comfort, like a baby with its blanket. But
I'll stop there. But initial thoughts in just seeing this. I have one. Okay. Okay, so what I found most fascinating here is that even though this baby clearly needed nourishment, right? The wire mama had milk, right? All babies need milk. It was there with that wire mama only for a tiny, tiny portion of the day, and it spent most of its time with this cloth or more nurturing mother, okay? And I think there's beauty behind that, and this is God's creation. God created the parent and the child relationship to be one that is supportive and nourishing. Food, yes, wonderful pieces of that relationship. Luxuries of life, sure. But nothing replaces or outweighs that bond. And we've seen that even in little primates, right? That bond is so much more meaningful that this monkey spent most of the day on the cloth monkey, seeking that nurture and that connection. Okay, so these are just little examples to plant a seed. And that's all I'm hoping for today is just to plant that seed. All right, moving us along. Okay, so there's, speaking of researchers, lots of researchers out there. This one is a researcher who looked at different attachment styles and basically how we connect with our kids. And basically, the biggest takeaway here is that first one right there, secure attachment, has been shown over time to reduce internalizing and externalizing behaviors. Internalizing being like anxiety and depression, things that you keep in, but also externalizing, like I'm lashing out, I'm aggressive, I'm throwing things, I'm name-calling, whatever it may be. That secure connection with the parent goes a long way to reduce some of those things. Again, boosts emotional health, greater emotional intelligence, and a very robust social skill set. Okay, and according to Mary Ainsworth, she found that the best kind of a relationship that guaranteed that in life was that secure relationship, where it was a balance between consistent availability and then limit setting. Whereas the other one, it was kind of sprinkled throughout, where you were not so consistently available or kind of had your own big emotional reactions. She found that consistent presence, but also consistent limit setting were key, were pivotal. Okay. Moving along. Here are 4 different parenting styles that came out of a Stanford research study as well, that looked at 4 different approaches to how we parent. Permissive being kind of like, you got this, kid, you kind of figure it out. It's very child-driven, where there's a lot of beauty behind that too. But again, like I mentioned, it's that balance between the limit setting. And so you'll see in the top right corner, that salmon color, authoritative is considered the most ideal for supporting childhood success. It's that consistent balance between that consistent availability and that warmth and that connection and limit setting, right? It's not more of one or the other. Too much nurturance isn't great. Too much discipline and limit setting or not enough of it isn't great either. It's the balance. And I think that's God giving us grace that you don't have to nail it every single time. It's the back and forth between the two. Okay? So far, so good? Okay. I don't know why I'm doing thumbs up, but thank you. All right, so this is a silly visual. Have you guys seen My Big Fat Greek Wedding before? Okay, do you know the reference? Windex? Okay, Windex is their solution for everything. And I like to joke about this, but whenever there's a hard period you're having in life with your child, the Windex equivalent is quality time. Have I been spending more time with my kiddo? Why are they struggling with this? What is going on in this area? And instead of delving deeper and digging deeper into that problem, take a moment to step out and spend that time with them first. right? And I'm not negating the need to do problem solving and all that stuff later, but it won't be as effective, and it won't, the impact won't be maintained without that relationship. Okay, so this is a silly visual to hopefully ingrain that a little bit more. All right. I hear babies. Okay. Okay, so oftentimes the question I hear is, I'm always with my kids, right? I'm with them all the time, right? I'm playing here and there. I do this too, right? I'm already spending so much time with them. Like, how do I do this? What are you talking about exactly? This is very unique time, right? It's not, so for example, like if we're cooking in the kitchen and they're kind of hovering around me, this is very different. Quality time means it's dedicated time where you're sitting specifically with that child. It's that parent and that child, right? Separate from siblings, separate from everyone in the home, where you're really stopping to interact with them. And so while the day-to-day experiences are also beautiful and there's room for that, I want to caution about that replacing that quality one-on-one time. And I will talk a little bit about what that looks like as kids mature in age, but I wanted to come back to the fruit of the Spirit because, again, I think like this is God's way of saying, you know how to parent. There is already so much beauty in you, and reference this as a guide, right? I always think about this, and I think it's so intriguing to me, but parents sometimes come to me and they're like, okay, you want me to play with my kid, I get it, it's really important. I don't know how to play. Like, what am I supposed to do, right? And I think it's amazing that kids are naturally born to know how to play. They get it. They just know. Like, you don't have to teach them like any other skill in the world. They just know how to play. And so part of the beauty of how to support that engagement, like I talked about, is let them lead. You join them, right? You allow them to lead and to really guide the play and dictate the play, because God already put it in them to be so open to play and so innocent to exploring the world. You just have to follow their lead. And these are, the fruit of the Spirit are just a nice, wonderful reminder of, okay, make sure those interactions are joyful. Make sure if you're coming from, stressed out, you're stressed out from a meeting at work, to leave that at the door just for those few minutes and to sit with them. Show that kindness, turn up the volume on that kindness, that self-control for you as a parent, that gentleness, all those things in that short amount of time. And I'll talk about how long in just a sec. But this is a nice reference. And again, I mean this genuinely from the bottom of my heart. You guys are perfect parents for your child. You have everything you need to support your child and for your child to be a God-fearing, wonderful kid. And so it's not a skill deficit, it's more of redirection of where am I going, where am I looking to in terms of my skill set. Okay. There's a reference here, the 5 love languages. This is, so when I've introduced this before, one way to kind of get an idea of like what does my unique child love, or how do they receive love? Every kid's different, right? For some kids, they love the quality time. For other kids, it's the physical touch. Like if you've ever had a cuddler or someone who just likes to snuggle up with you, that's how you fill that love bucket that I referenced, right? So every kid's different. If you don't know and you find yourself guessing, ask your kid. They are a well of knowledge. They really, really do know a lot. And ask them, what do mommy and daddy do that help you feel loved, right? What do you want more of, right? Do you want more time with me? Do you want to, do you like it when I leave you little notes? So the gift doesn't mean extravagant gifts. It could be a little note, right? A special treat in their lunch that it's something from home, something from your heart to theirs, right? So you can ask them, say, how do you feel loved? How do I fill your bucket? So these are just some references that you can kind of come back to. Based on research, there's also kind of do's and don'ts for quality time. And when I say and reference quality time, it can be as little as 5 minutes a day. And that's kind of what I consider like a therapeutic dose. It doesn't have to be so significant that it's just a hassle to include in your day, but it's not too short where the kids are like, what just happened? It was a flyby session. So it's just a meaningful amount of time. It's a therapeutic dose when applied consistently, like a dose of antibiotics, if you will, is very, very effective, okay? So some of the do's, again, start out small. I always encourage parents, start out small. It doesn't have to be this ambitious thing where I play 5 minutes with them every single day. Maybe I start out once a week where you have designated time and an activity that they had selected and you spend your time doing that with them, okay? Get down on their level in that shared activity. This next skill called sports announcer, it's such an important skill that there's a full career for it. A sports announcer is basically you describing what they're doing. For kids who have ADHD, for kids who just can't sit still, for kiddos who are just not able to focus their thoughts or problem solve, you sitting there and saying, oh, you're building that up. You're adding more blocks. You're adding green. You're now grabbing the train and making it go up and down. That description is so pivotal for their thought process. It slows them down and helps them really plan ahead. And there's a whole career for it in the sports world. So we can't undermine the value of that. Imitating their play, just like we imitate, musicians out there who we love, we wear their t-shirts and purchase all their merch, do the same for them. Like, oh, you're building a tower, I'm gonna do it right next to you, right? Repeating back what they say, a very, very great sign that kind of signifies that you're listening or someone's listening to you is to be able to reflect back what they're saying or parrot back what they're saying. Great skill to use in play. And praise. I can't undermine the value of praise. And this isn't praising left and right. It's praising the behavior you want to see more of. If my kid is hitting constantly, any second I see them using very gentle hands, I'm going to jump in there and be like, great job using gentle hands. That was so sweet, right? Praise it like no other. And it works. This is no different than for us receiving an award at work or some recognition. Praise works. It makes us feel good and more likely to repeat that behavior again, okay? And I know a lot of what's coming out of my mouth sounds like it would be something fruitful for the little ones, and I do work with little ones, but I think quality time is great for kids of all ages. You can do this with your teenagers, right? It looks different, right? You're not building magnet tiles, but maybe you're going out to get a smoothie where you're sitting and talking and letting them guide the conversation or the interaction. So it is very critical at every age. It's not just the little ones. And it can be adjusted, and its impact never diminishes, right? If you walk away with nothing, from today, I want you to kind of walk away with this piece of, okay, spending quality time with them is very meaningful. It can go a long way, right? Minus any skill set that we can kind of discuss later on. This is sometimes a helpful acronym that I give parents, but the acronym is PRIDE. So praise, reflect, imitate, describe, and enjoy. So bringing in that enjoyment. Again, 5 minutes a day is all you need. And again, it's that nice therapeutic dose of just the right amount for it to have a very meaningful impact, okay? Some don'ts. I'm guilty of this, but sometimes in the middle of play, and this happens when, whatever, we're playing with glitter or whatever it is, right? I find myself giving commands, oh, don't drop it, don't do this, or what's that? Reduce those, because they get those enough during the day. Let them lead. Even if you're sitting there quietly and observing, that is still powerful. Let them lead. Follow along. Harness that inner child, right? And follow along with them. It goes a long, long way. Okay. I talked about praise and the benefits of praise. This is a very, very critical piece that I always like to tell parents. Kids will always seek attention. They would much rather have negative attention than no attention at all. What that means is they would much rather have you raise your voice and scold them and do all those things and have zero attention from you. They will seek it. They crave it. And so if we know that our attention is so powerful in that way, we're going to use it and we're going to turn that spotlight onto those situations that matter the most and we want to see more of. The gentle hands. Anytime they're being very kind to their sibling, anytime they're standing nicely in church, anytime they're respectful and get their work done on their own, unsolicited, we're jumping in there to praise. And again, it's beneficial for all ages, right? If I get acknowledged in anything I do at work, it just feels amazing. So again, powerful. Never too late. Again, like, oh my goodness, did I miss the boat? Is it too late to start this? Not at all. Not at all. It's always meaningful, and our kids are always craving our attention, so plug it in whenever you can and as much as you can. And another note to kind of keep in mind is when you're in a problematic stage with your child, like I mentioned before, they're just really acting out at school, or something is going on in their life and they're just struggling. When you continue to spend that time with them, it starts to shift the focus from what is going on with my child that is not going well to I just love you, right? Like you're my kid, right? I love you no matter what, and that helps them to kind of overcome that challenge. Okay, so Pope Shenouda is like the wisest and greatest, amazing, amazing, amazing. So I included this here, and we're almost done because I see some kids trickling in, but I included this because I'm hoping to see if you guys are able to pick out a parallel here. There are subtitles because my Arabic is wonky too, but there are subtitles, but see if you can figure out a parallel between what he's talking about and what we just talked about, okay? I think I got it.
ارجع مرة تاني لربنا. يعني ايه بالصلاة؟ يعني اسكب نفسك امام الله وقول له يا رب انا عايزك، انا عايز ارجع اليك، انا من غيرك ما اسواش حاجة ابدا، انا فقدت حياتي لما فقدتك، وفقدت لذتي وسعادتي لما فقدتك، واصبحت حياتي لا شهوة لها ولا طعم لها. اسكب نفسك امام ربنا، قل له يا رب انا اريد ان ارجع اليك، ولكن اعدائي قد اعتزوا اكثر مني، كثيرون يقولون لنفسي ليس له خلاص بإلهك. ارجع لربنا وقول له يا رب انتشلني وخذني اليك مرة اخرى. قل له انا فقدت قوتي لما بعدت عنك، اعطيني قوة خاصة من عندك، اعطيني معونة خاصة لكي ارجع بها. كتير من الناس ساعات يسألوا يقولوا عايزين نرجع لربنا، نرجع ازاي؟ ارمي نفسك قصاده وقول له انا عايز اقوم من هنا وقد اخذت بركة خاصة، وقد ارجعتني اليك، وقد حسبتني ضمن اولادك، ومش بس غفرت لي خطيتي انما انقذتني من محبة الخطية على الاطلاق. قل يا رب انا مش ممكن ارجع اليك ومحبة الخطية في قلبي، شيل مني محبة الخطية. مش انا اترك الخطية وارجع اليك، ده انت تجيني وتدركني محبة الخطية.
I will stop there. Okay. Anyone notice the parallel there? Okay, I'll answer. Okay, so the parallel here is coming back to our children always, right? Like Pope Shenouda was saying, you know, God, how could we, you know, you ask us to come to you when we're struggling and we're having a hard time. I can't do that, right? You have to come take me to you. I can't do it without you. And then I would say the parallel here is that our children need us. We can't expect them to come to us and say, I'm really struggling with this, help me. They're going to show it to us and display it to us through their behavior. And it really is up to us to come back to them and bring them closer to Christ, bring them closer to us, and bring them closer to whatever direction we need them to go. Okay, thank you. So I was supposed to create some time for question and answer, but I hope at the end of this I planted a seed for more quality time, just that really nice connection. 5 minutes a day can go a long way. But I'll open it up for a question, and hopefully I'll have an answer. Oh, yes.
Does that makes the kids confused or not? Like if we change.
Sorry.
So when you mentioned the different types of parenting, you said like there is grace. Sometimes we fall in one of them and we change to the other. Does that make confusion to the kids when we are changing from types?
That's a great question. Our kids are constantly craving attention and being around us. And so maybe, yes, initially they notice a transition and they enter this phase of curiosity. I'm not quite sure what's happening at home, something is changing, but that's where the beauty of that consistency comes in. So if you're consistently making that time, that becomes the new norm. It becomes predictable and it becomes a routine. And when it's a routine, they come to expect it and they feel safer and secure in it. So never too late. It's never harmful to start at this point or anything like that. Yeah, good question. Awesome.
I'll ask a question.
Yes, thank you.
So I find I have children of different ages. The younger children, I think, naturally want to spend more time with us.
Yes.
As they get older, they want to spend less
Yeah.
time with us.
Yes.
So, and the lesson that I'm taking is to be intentional about it, to be really mindful about doing it. But I guess my question is, do you have any advice for us as our children get older, have busier lives, are more independent, have more friends, and they get their oxytocin from other types of relationships?
Yes.
So what do I do then as they get older?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So how do I adjust to where my kids are developmentally and the fact that their attention is now so split amongst different responsibilities and people in their life? I think a few ways you can address that is definitely being intentional and having a simple comment like, I miss you. I'd love to spend time with you doing X, Y, Z, whatever their hobby is. So less about them joining in what we do, but more about joining in them. So if they love video games, hey, I really want to learn how to play this. Do you have 5 minutes to show me? Right? So join them where they are. If they're really invested in time with their friends, that's okay, right? When you have downtime, I'd love to do this thing with you. And the more consistent you are, the more of a tradition it becomes, the more that you are part of that routine that they've come to call their own in that phase of life. Does that make sense? So go to them. They're really, really great about yeah, I like to do this. Can we do that? And let them guide. They won't stop talking, right? Great question. Ashra.
Any other questions?
Oh boy, I hope I can answer.
I have to ask because Randy asked. There's only a limited amount of time, attention, and I have 3 kids.
Yes.
And I've noticed there's rivalry.
Yes, yeah.
Do you have any advice on how to deal with that?
Yes, great question. So again, I come back to consistency because I think that's key. So if it's your oldest kiddo's turn, right? Make that clear. Say, I'm going to spend 5 minutes with this kiddo right now, and then it will be your turn next, right? What activity could you do until I'm done? Right? Or maybe it's Monday for Jacob and Tuesday it's for someone else, right? Coming up with that routine, and only then and only after you've been consistent do they start realizing, oh, okay, I will always have my time. I don't have to compete for that attention because it is given. My day is coming, or my time of day is coming, because it becomes so consistent. And let them know, hey, I'm thinking to try this at home. What do you think? Do you think that would be fun? But I have to do it with this kiddo first, and then this kiddo, and then this kiddo. Can you guys do something until I get back? And then switch. Right? So sometimes you have to kind of do that. And then the consistency, again, if it happens every Friday that you do this, they come to expect it. Grace. Yes. Go, monkey.
No.
I can't hear you. How do you know when your kid needs space? That's a good question. If they tell me they need space. Okay. All right. So hopefully I won't talk and take too much of your time, but I hope this just kind of planted the seed that you're wonderful parents. You have everything you ever needed to parent your child, and it comes down to just hanging out with them because they're the coolest people on earth. So give them that time, and it will go a long way. All right, thank you. Hi, Boo Boo.